My name's Danny Hoppenjans. I'm 25 years old, and I'm a heroin addict. Um, I started using substances when I was in high school, probably about 16 years old, and it wasn't something that took over my life immediately. It was just something that the kids were doing at the time, and seemed to be really popular with the marijuana and whatnot. And about that time, there was some family troubles that happened. My dad ended up leaving, and at the time, I didn't think that it really bothered me, but now that I look back, I think that it had a lot to do with me turning to drugs and I guess feeling feeling abandoned and didn't have anybody really there to teach me with what I was supposed to be doing at that point in my life. And Mom was real uh, preoccupied with certain things going on. And so instead of stepping up and taking over man of the household, I guess I found something else that made things a little easier than this whole step up and do what I needed to do thing. And at that time I started taking a lot of hallucinogens and LSD and whatnot. And at that time, that seemed to be just what everybody was doing at the time. I had a lot of fun, and it wasn't until I graduated from high school a lot of my friends started doing the heroin, and I remember doing it and a couple times, and it wasn't something that really tickled my fancy. But I later found out when I got kicked out of my mother's house for the first time. I ended up having to move in with somebody already addicted to heroin, and I found out real quick that I could use that drug to submit pain I was feeling, fear of progression, fear of putting trust in other people, fear in putting trust in myself. And using the drug really, I just didn't have to deal with anything. I could stay right where I was in life, take what I could get, and I'd be totally fine with it. And immediately I became addicted to that drug. Ended up getting in lots of legal trouble because of it, but I couldn't stop it. You always want, with a drug like that, you always want to stop it, but you can't. And ended up getting incarcerated, which saved my young life. And I came to the Isaiah House for the first time when I was 21 years old. I turned 21 in the Kenton County Jail, and shortly after came to the Isaiah House. And at the Isaiah House, right away, I think the whole time I'd just been looking for something, looking for some kind of direction. I just didn't know how to grab it. So it grabbed me, and I took it and ran with it. The Isaiah House gave me 2 years under my belt of being sober. And after doing a year in the house, I was very confident and very foolish, and always thought that if I could just get that drug out of my life, that I would have everything I needed. I'd be able to make money and hold money, and I thought for some reason that money would be what made me happy. And I moved back home, and again, I went along with just being satisfied with the way things were. I moved in with my mother. I got a job, and to me that was good enough. It was a comfort zone. The issues of moving forward and obtaining a life of my own still weren't there. I was afraid of myself still, without even realizing it. My mind had me convinced that my drug problem was over, which at the time it was, it seemed like. And I had an alright job, making good money, and And I didn't go seeking drugs. Drugs kind of found me. It's weird how it happened, because you think heroin, that's something that really doesn't just float around in the air, but somehow it found me, and I was able to resist it quite a few times, but without realizing it, my mind was already laying the path subconsciously for me to put myself in a situation where I wouldn't be able to resist it anymore. And there was a gentleman that I would drive home from work, and I had to train him, and we got to talking, and it turned out that was something that he was addicted to at the time, and instead of using the skills that I learned at the Isaiah House and trying to help him, I found myself in a situation where I was driving the guy home every night from work, and for some reason I never thought that wasn't okay. I thought that I was helping the guy out, but I was doing it because I wanted to get closer to being able to say yes to doing that. And one night I gave in and I did it. And it took that one time. I tried to manage doing it maybe weekly, twice a week, and that worked for a few weeks. And then instead of facing life, I'd rather numb myself to it, and then I became addicted to that again. And years went by, and I battled with it. Stopped using it quite a few times, and when I did, I felt empty. I had the tools and the know-how to stop it, but I just didn't have the energy to. So feeling the comfort that drug gave me was worth the pain and hardship that it caused me and people around me. And every time I would get sober, it wouldn't be because I wanted to. I wanted to be sober, but I wanted to be happy sober, and that was just impossible. I hated myself so much and was so disappointed because here I am. I thought I had this thing licked, and I'm right back at square one, it felt like. And some time went by, and eventually I got to the day where I just said, screw it, I'm not going to get better. I'm just going to do what I got to do to work, make money, and no matter how much money I made, it still didn't make, it never made me happy like I thought that it would. And that really discouraged me too, because I felt like if I couldn't, like what's going to do it for me? What's going to make me content in my life? And the whole time I know the answer, but I feel so guilty from the things that I'm doing. I can't give myself up to the Lord the way I feel like I should, even though He was right there. He didn't ever want anything from me. He just wanted me to take from Him. But I just couldn't do it because of the things that I was doing in my everyday life to support my habit. So I ended up getting a couple more felony charges, and these are certain charges that people don't get out of jail for a long time. And I went in to court, and I just gave up. I was happy to be in jail. I was happy to be to have a reason not to be in the situation I was anymore. I was